the start of the Castrol International Rally for 1980. Some of you will remember that we've done this event before in an effort to bring to you various forms of motorsport right around Australia. But this time we're doing it with a different purpose in mind. With the current fuel crisis right around the world, and more particularly with the federal government's Australian Energy Conservation Program in full swing, there has been a great deal of criticism levelled at motorsport generally in the past 6 or so months on the basis that why should people be out wasting fuel playing games with cars when we have a fuel crisis? Well, I don't quite believe that that's the case, and I'd like to use this program to try to prove to you that motorsport is justifiable, but that perhaps it does need to have some modifications made. This is the recently released Daihatsu Charade, a real economy car. That looks pretty tight. Very tight. They're turning it almost, I'm told anyway, they're turning it almost every corner. So in other words, there's only going to be... Except for the necessary safety equipment like roll bars, seat belts and fire extinguisher, this car is absolutely standard and thus the least costly and the least powerful vehicle in the event. The point of this is to try to prove that you can take a basically inexpensive modern car and use it for pure pleasure without great expense.
Had a good fourth in the Alpine International last year, his best result to date, and no doubt the experience of this Castrol will be a great benefit to him.
I haven't got that then.
Fine in past years. Car 99, Alan Kameen and Peter Wherrett in a Daihatsu Charade, a car which will be available on the Australian market within a few weeks. 5-speed gearbox, 3-cylinder, 1-litre engine, and away they go.
The little Daihatsu is already proving to be great fun. It's not fast, and in no way could we be considered to be competing with the really well-developed rally cars in this event, but that's not to say that we can't enjoy it. And at this stage at least, it's been 100% reliable. My first philosophical point about motorsport is that it is a very good training ground for young drivers. I suppose, fairly obviously, most of the people who take part in events like this are at least reasonably young, possibly exception of me. As a result of which, and because of the conditions that are thrown at them, they learn a great deal about car behaviour and performance and even about tuning and maintenance. And I think that's an excellent idea for people who intend to drive a great deal on public roads, which obviously everybody does. So, motorsport generally is justified on that basis alone, as far as I'm concerned, and although most of the people in this particular rally are experts and have been doing it for a reasonable period of time, they have to learn somewhere. And a small, standard, reasonably economical motor car like this little Daihatsu is the best sort of vehicle to use for learning.
Thank you, Noel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And all the other thousands of Canberra residents who've enjoyed the rally throughout the past day and a half, thank you for joining us, thank you for supporting us and for staying in order. On behalf of Castrol and Jeff Sykes and all his organisers, thank you, congratulations to Ford Motor Company on first place, Marsport for second, Ford Motor Company for third, to Ford Escorts. Thank you all.
You have to be fit to do this sort of motorsport, and I'm not because I don't train for it, and for that reason the little Daihatsu Charade has finished the event in much better condition than I have, and that in itself says a great deal. Basically standard, with the exception of the changes we told you about earlier. Nothing broke, it is intact completely. We drove it very hard as this little baby motor car would go. Just goes to prove that you can involve yourself in this sort of sport if you want to, without going to enormous expense. Certainly not going to win, but that's not what it's all about. There are 50 odd cars in this event and only 10 of them could have won, so the others were there just for the sheer sport of it. And the second point is, of course, that we didn't use very much fuel. 23 miles per gallon, in fact, despite driving it very hard. That's a pretty fair effort.